Trump versus South Africa, the Oval Office showdown that you missed and that the media refused to really cover. Genocide, foreign aid, Oval Office pressure, in a stunning showdown, Trump confronted South African officials with video surveillance. The media barely touched it, but it really could reshape how diplomacy is done from this point forward. This wasn't a press operation at all. The Oval Office last week, President Trump met with South African leaders in what began as a foreign aid discussion, but ended as a tense human rights confrontation. Trump claimed South Africa was covering up violent attacks on white farmers and rural communities. South African officials pushed back hard until Trump pulled out video clips that silenced the room. Check out the stock footage of the moment Trump pulls out the video and shares it with the officials from South Africa.
Mr. President, I must say that we have, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it. Sure. And we have documentaries, we have news stories, and then is Natalie here? Somebody here to turn that? I could show you a couple of things, and it has to be responded to. Yeah, sure. Let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down. Turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. We can withdraw my membership from this useless parliament. Yes, must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill your mother, kill the poor, the farmer, kill the poor, the farmer. Pa, pa.
So what really happened? The meeting was part of Trump's 2025 diplomacy tour, but this one broke the script. He questioned South Africa's internal handling of land redistribution and racially motivated crimes, especially targeting white farmers. When officials denied the scale of the problem, Trump checked up a video evidence. Sources suggest he cited incidents from Farm Murders South Africa, a controversial but highly circulated archive. So you may be asking yourself the question, why this even matters? It's South Africa and not the United States. Nowhere of real significance, some of you might say, but hear me out on this one, because I think you might agree that the way that this whole diplomatic situation unraveled in real time right in the Oval Office with video evidence really seemed to call out what real foreign policy might look like in the Trump administration. Here's why the moments really matter. Trump tied future U.S. aid to South African acknowledging the fact and addressing the violence. That's not how the U.S. usually handles these issues. Compare this to how Trump approached the UK tariffs, slashed behind closed doors, not public embarrassment. But South Africa? Trump used the press and the camera as leverage to drive a hard bargain with South Africa, and most importantly, to fess up that there's a problem there that they can't sweep under the rug. Trump negotiation style. This wasn't an accident. It's Trump's bulldozer diplomacy. He did the same thing in 2018 with NATO, publicly accusing allies of not paying their share towards the NATO fund. And guess what? He was 100% right. But he did negotiate that behind the scenes. However, it seems like bulldozer-type diplomacy seems to be what Trump's looking for, particularly when he's tying U.S. aid to foreign behavior. This is a pay-to-play type of a situation, and it appears as though he's not going to allow someone to come into the White House and feed him some line of crap that, let's face it, isn't necessarily true. Now, I don't have all the details on what Trump was going to accuse these people in South Africa of, but we do know there is a very, very violent country in South Africa, so much so that there are travel advisories in South Africa, so it's really no joke. So you might have some reactions, there may be some fallout to this, and I'm not so sure that I really disagree with how Trump handled the situation. Of course, there's always this idea that you don't want to ever embarrass somebody, but by the same token, you don't want somebody to come into the Oval Office and try to embarrass the president, his cabinet, the vice president, etc. And of course, there's J.D. Vance, vice president of the United States, sitting there listening, paying close attention, because I think the guy has a super high EQ. He understands people. He understands the human experience very, very well, if you know anything about his background. But the bottom line is there is some fallout from this. Conservative media praised the move as necessary truth-telling, finally calling somebody out for what's the truth as opposed to a mixed bag of what they choose to present the United States. Progressive outlets, on the other hand, criticize this as reckless diplomacy. But something bigger might be happening. For the first time in years, Trump is framing the U.S. as conditional in its aid, not unconditional, and that's a powerful place to be. So here's the real question for the audience. The bottom line is this bold diplomacy, or is this international humiliation? Did Trump cross the line or draw one that was long overdue tied to U.S. finances? Drop a comment. Should foreign aid depend on human rights transparency? Subscribe for deep dives like this and mainstream media issues that are missed by the mainstream that we cover right here. Hit like, hit subscribe, help me feed Charlie, and I'll catch you in the next video. Remember, folks, the biggest battle we're fighting every day is the battle between our ears. Stay healthy and celebrate your victories, and I'll catch you next video.